A lot of interesting news coming out of Russia. There's been a photo of Alexander Navalny that was released. He looks like he has lost at least 100 pounds. He looks absolutely pathetic, okay? Really, really pathetic. So we've had that going on. There's also been some viral videos that have been making their way around the internet. Very interesting stuff in which the Wagner Group apparently, you know, executing people with sledgehammers, all right? A sledgehammer execution, so to speak. But y'all, give me just 1 second. Let me pop open the Discord here because I hear y'all in the Discord. Hold on. Let me see who. Let me see who came through to chop it up with me. Okay then. I see y'all. I see y'all. Okay. Sometimes the notifications take a minute to hit the Discord. But Gloria, I don't know if you knew this, but in the Discord, I've already like subscribed you. So every time you go live, a video pops up under crime news every single time you go live. That's pretty much your thread, I think, at this point. No, no, wait. I got True Crime TV in that thread and you. I think only you and True Crime TV. Oh yeah, my crime and investigations channel also. Yeah. But anyway, shout out to those of you on the Discord. You know, we actually have a permanent link now, and we should really, really try hard to um, put that out if we can. Here, let me throw it in the chat. This is our permanent Discord link. If you go to that link there, it is a permanent link. Sometimes I'll have invites out there. Sometimes I pull them. Generally, I'll open it up for like a 24-hour period, then I delete all the invites. I just like to do it that way. So I can, get to know the folks that newly sub in. But anyway, there was a disturbing video that dropped. Second video in which it appears that a man is put on this so-called trial. All right. And they have like a semi-official telegram channel that they communicate on, right? So this clip was posted in this semi-official telegram channel over the weekend. And this was about 3 months after Wagner had publicized the violent end of another prisoner who had been recruited into the group, who then turned against Russia. Um, this video echoes that Newsin, it's called the Newsin footage. And this clip allegedly shows Dmitry Yakushenko, a convict from Russian occupied Crimea, who joined Wagner while serving a 19-year prison sentence for robbery and murder. And he had a quote, chance to liberate and atone for his sins. Okay. This is the whole prisoner um, recruitment that has been going on, right? And they've been throwing these prisoners out as the first wave, okay, of men to try to establish lines in the sand, so to speak, of war with between Russia and Ukraine. But he gave a interview. Yushenko, the guy that committed this sledgehammer murdered on tape, he actually escaped to the other side. All right. After being sent to fight in Ukraine, he escaped to the Ukraine side. And while in captivity, he gave an interview to local media and it was widely shared. All right. Last November. The new video opens up with a clip from that interview in which Yurkashenko discusses how he only agreed to fight for Russia to find any kind of loophole to escape his imprisonment. The video then cuts to a shot of Yukashenko in a dark room, his head taped to concrete blocks on the wall. Behind him, a man in camouflage fatigues can be seen holding a sledgehammer, saying, I went to the front as part of Wagner Group. All right. Now, The screen then goes blurry as Lukashenko's apparently struck in the head with the hammer, receiving further blows as he collapses to the ground, all while they played like audio of him talking over his sledgehammer execution. Okay. Then they go on to caption under the video saying that Lukashenko fell ill with the same disease as Nuzin, from which you lose consciousness in the cities of Ukraine, and then you wake up in the basement at your last court session. An independent Russian outlet has reported that it's likely that Lukashenko was in fact returned into the hands of Russian authorities in a December 1st prisoner swap. Media Zone journalist Dave Frankel also questioned if Lukashenko is really even being killed in the clip. Regardless, that Newson clip was absolutely as real as it gets. And for some reason, I don't know. The Wagner Group seems to think that they like to install fear, right, in others. But there's another very interesting little tidbit of information that's also coming out, news regarding the Wagner Group. Remember, we were just talking about this. The prisoner um, recruitment that Wagner has taken part in, especially in this whole Ukraine Russian war, in which they have utilized these prisoners as like the first wave, right? I don't even believe this, to be honest. I don't believe it. I don't believe they've stopped recruiting prisoners. I believe they're probably saying that publicly and quietly continuing to do it. That's what I think. But the Kremlin is said to be pushing back against private army and curbing the influence of the leader of the Wagner Group, all right? And saying that they're decreasing prisoner recruitment. They're going to end prisoner recruitment. So this is the Wagner boss, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has admitted that his mercenary group is facing difficulties in Ukraine and will soon decrease in size amid growing evidence that his political influence in the Kremlin is waning. You can't become stronger than Putin, right? Like, there's a whole lot of people that for some reason they'll get hooked up with someone or connect with someone or get in contact with someone, and all of a sudden they want to eclipse that individual's star power, right? And nobody's going to be able to eclipse that. So when you start talking more about Wagner Group and the leader of Wagner Group more than Putin probably doesn't like that. But the number of Wagner units will be decreasing. This is according to the Kremlin, right? And saying, and Prigozhin also told a group of pro-war bloggers and state journalists who had gathered at an army barracks in eastern Ukraine that the number of Wagner units will decrease and, quote, we will also not be able to carry out the scope of tasks that we would like to, end quote. And then he goes on to say, you have all heard that the recruitment of prisoners to our ranks has stopped. Now, his comments followed a recent announcement that the mercenary group, all right, would no longer recruit prisoners to fight in the war, ending a months-long campaign in which Wagner signed up about 40,000 convicts from Russian prisons. He didn't give any explanation, but observers say that the move is part of a growing backlash against him from Russian security services. He is a catering magnate who last year admitted to founding the Wagner Group. After years of obfuscation, he has assumed an increasingly prominent role in the war, with his troops engaged in some of Russia's most grueling battles in eastern Ukraine. Last month, Wagner, which is now largely made up of convicts, captured the Ukrainian town of Soledar, Moscow's first territorial gain in the war since the summer. The mercenary group has also been at the forefront in the months-long fight to seize neighboring Bakhmut, a battle that Prigozhin on Wednesday said was not going as quickly as we would like. In a thinly veiled criticism of the Russian Ministry of Defense, he said, quote, horrendous military bureaucracy. had prevented Wagner from taking Bakhmut by the new year. Ooh, he publicly spoke against Putin? We may fuck around and find Prigozhin dead somewhere or missing, or, I mean, there's been people, notorious, opponents of Putin that have found themselves not alive, unalive. Who knows? He's made quite a lot of enemies, though. With all that power that he's built up with Wagner, he's created a lot of enemies. Hey, Emmanuel. So we will see. But, since, well, this is what he went on to say, right? Other units are not showing the activity that they should be. If there were 3 to 5 groups like Wagner, we would already be dipping our feet in the Dnipro River. Since the start of the war, Prigozhin repeatedly clashed with army leadership, including the chief of staff, Valery Gerasimov, and the defense minister, Sergei Shoigu. His willingness to take on the defense establishment has catapulted him to become a leading figure among pro-war ultra-nationalists who have similarly criticized the army's leadership. However, there are growing signs that the Kremlin has moved to curb what it considers the excessive political clout of the magnate. Last month, Russia appointed Gerasimov as its overall commander for the war in Ukraine, replacing another individual who is believed to be a very close ally of Prigozhin. Several prominent human rights groups have reported that the Ministry of Defense has now taken over Wagner's role of recruiting inmates, effectively depriving the group of its main source of manpower. Now, Prigozhin has no shortage of enemies. The businessmen's attack on officials, paramilitary deputies, political parties have not won him any favor within the elite, which considers his autonomy, ambition, and rhetoric nothing short of a threat to the state. So he's amassed quite a lot of enemies. But they've also labeled his Wagner group as a convenient asset for Vladimir Putin in Ukraine. The businessman was now risking his position by overplaying his ambitions, saying Wagner should operate exclusively in the state's interests and avoid the limelight, should not undertake its own initiatives, and it certainly should not have a political agenda. But then Prigozhin causes further controversy. This Telegram, like I said, we were talking about this Telegram channel leaking these videos, right? Gruesome videos of these sledgehammer execution, like I said, of a former Russian mercenary who fled the Wagner group while fighting in Ukraine. But he later said that Lukashenko was actually pardoned. And then that man actually appeared. Lukashenko actually appeared with him. So obviously that second sledgehammer murder wasn't real, but that doesn't take away from the first one, right? Of, Lukashenko murdering that man just because he wanted to leave the Wagner group, right? So very strange. But what he really should have did is came out with the man that actually really was murdered. Like, that's really at the root of it. The first guy, the first video, right? That first one that was published back in November. But anyway, wars are so much easier to start than stop, right? They're always so much easier to start. Still very interested in Wagner's activities in Africa specifically. There's been a lot of, there's so much that the Wagner Group has done, but more so, be aware of the war crimes that they have committed in Africa, mining for those minerals and precious stones, taking over entire mining operations, killing people, killing entire villages of people. So And just, do a little research. Hell, you can find several videos here on YouTube, even Facebook, Twitter, even, in which people really break down the Wagner Group. I've done several videos on this organization. So you could definitely search Wagner Group, LeakYou for sure. We've talked about all sorts of things, man, especially those war crimes. As many of you know, every single laptop, cell phone, tablet device, there's certain precious rocks, minerals that are required to make these devices work. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you really, really look and research at mining those minerals, it's really bad. It's really, really bad, y'all. But anyway, guys, thanks to everybody who came through. I know it's been a minute since I've been on. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. I hope you all had a fantastic Valentine's Day. But yeah, I'll be back whenever I'm back. I don't know. But before I move around, allow me to pay a few bills you know. Shout out to the LeakYou community. Please join us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
The judgment sentence that you are an asshole. The trial is over. Thank you, everybody.
Let's play a game. You have 10 seconds to take all your stuff and get out of my life. 10, 9, 8.
God bless you, motherfucker.
You're really smart. Like really, really, really smart like I am.
All right, y'all. I'm up out of here. Have a great rest of your night, y'all. Bye, guys.